Welcome to Healing Whole, the podcast. I'm your host, Callie. I'm a certified personal trainer and fitness instructor. I also happen to be extremely passionate about holistic living. With close to 10 years of experience, I've worked with clients from all walks of life. I also know a healthy and holistic lifestyle can be a little overwhelming. I'm here to break it down for you and take you on my journey to healing whole. Remember, the materials and content within this podcast are intended as general information only and are not to be considered a substitute for medical advice or treatment. Hello, and welcome to episode 22 of Healing Whole, the podcast. I am here today with Amy Miner of Rare Soul. How are you today, Amy?
Doing well. I'm tired. That time change has kicked my butt, but pretty good.
Yeah. I am not a huge fan of the time change because it gets dark so early.
Yeah.
It's like it gets dark at 8 o'clock and then all of a sudden it gets dark at like 4.
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't like it at all.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan. So the first question I always ask everybody, and not necessarily what you do is holistic, but to me it's holistic because it has to do with crystals, and I think jewelry just makes you feel good, so that's part of like well-being. But how did you get into this holistic way of living?
So I never really thought much about it until I became a mom. And even then, not necessarily, but my sister came over to my house one time and I was cleaning the floor and my daughter was crawling and my sister's like, "What are you using? You can't use that on the floor." And I'm like, "Why?" And she's like, "The chemicals that are in there." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" You just sort of think if something's in the store, it's on the shelf, it's safe to use, or else it wouldn't be there. And that kind of opened my eyes to things. I did some research and I definitely cut out chemical cleaners and went the more natural route with that. And then also, I have two children actually, and I used all natural skincare, hair care products on them because I'm trying to give them the best start to life possible.
Yeah.
Organic food when possible, when it's available or when affordable, sort of thing. So
I understand.
So that's kind of how it started with me. And then also I had ovarian cancer. It was found when I was pregnant with my daughter. A pregnancy ultrasound. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was crazy. And a long story with that, but anyways, it was stage 1 with microinvasion, so it was caught very early. It was just removed with surgeries.
Thank God.
Yeah, I had 3 surgeries in 4 months. Like, I always looked like I'm pregnant, I think, because I never healed from one surgery and I had another one. But anyways, my cancer, I was told, was not genetic. It was environmental. So something out there caused my cancer. So that sort of changed
the way you look at things.
Yeah. And I mean, it's hard, like fast food, junk food. It tastes delicious, sugar, whatever. But I love, vegetables and healthier foods. I'm just trying to balance that and get my kids to like that and to have the best start possible. So that's kind of, I guess, holistic for me. I have a long way to go, but I feel like we all do. Like, there's so much to learn. And even with makeup, like natural products and youth beauty counter as well. Yeah. Yes, that's definitely a big part of it as well. And then, like you said, with jewelry, it's just part of the well-being. Holistic is the whole part of you. And if jewelry can make you feel a little better about yourself or your appearance, it's going to help you mentally and just it'll help you in that way.
Especially your jewelry, because you create it. So tell me about Rare Soul. What exactly, we kind of give people an idea of what it is and just, what you do.
So Rare Soul is my handcrafted jewelry business that I started in 2016. I love to combine the beauty of natural raw materials. This is where I use crystals, minerals, precious, semi-precious gems, pearls, that sort of thing. I love to combine it with metals to create unique designs for the creative soul in us all. I focus on craftsmanship, so that would be my skills in jewelry making, the quality of the materials that I use, and then I focus on fashion because I want it to be pretty so people will want to wear it.
And feel good in it, and that's what makes it holistic.
Absolutely. And then my hope is that when somebody wears a piece from Rare Soul, that they feel love and encouragement and a creative spirit every time that they wear it.
Nice. I like that a lot. How long have you been creating jewelry? Because when did you say your business?
2016 was when I started.
Okay, but have you been creating longer than that?
Yeah, so I grew up in a creative household, for sure. So, my mom was she was artistically creative, so she could draw people, it was beautiful, and she could use oil pastels and that sort of thing. She could bake creatively. She made wedding cakes and she'd bake breads and would sell it at Laurel Mall. I used to go as a kid with her and my grandma, the summer flea market or whatever they called it. she was a seamstress, and she would sew Barbie doll clothes for like my siblings and myself. She, all those things. And my dad was like MacGyver, and he could just create something out of nothing. Like he could just fix things. And so I grew up with that creativity, and I feel like we're all born with that. I think it's all in us, and we sort of lose it as we do this thing called life. And so I was fortunate enough to have a family where that was sort of encouraged, and that I didn't feel like I was afraid to fail at that, because there are other things, like if I couldn't do it, I never wanted to try. But if it was something creative, it didn't bother me to try and to mess it up, because you can just turn it into something else. I think that's kind of the awesome thing with it. So in 6th grade, I had my first jewelry business.
Well, shoot.
It was called Amy's Bracelets and Rings and Other Neat Things.
Aw, I like that.
And I know I'm a lot older than you, but back then, like those DMC floss friendship bracelets were the thing, which I feel like those have made a comeback. I don't even know.
Everything, scrunchies made a comeback.
Yes, I know, I can believe that. But yeah, so I made those, and I remember taking like a pricing list to school, and a list with like the things that I made, the price, the colors I had, the patterns, and like my classmates would buy stuff off of me. Like rings were like a dime, and bracelets were like a quarter. I mean, I was getting loaded.
Yeah, for sure.
So much there. But so I did that, and then and I just always liked accessories. Like I grew up in a family of 7. I have 2 older brothers, 2 older sisters. We didn't have a lot of money, and so accessories could change how you looked, and they didn't have to cost a lot. And so I kind of learned that too. And I was like playing with my big sister's jewelry, which they never appreciated, me sneaking in their room in their jewelry box and in my mom's. And but anyways, sort of like all those things kind of led up to jewelry making. And then when I went to school for archaeology, and I did.
Really?
Yeah.
So you really do like earth stuff?
Yes, I do.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, and the thing, I after the fact, because I'm not an archaeologist anymore, I hurt my back. I couldn't do the fieldwork anymore. But I realized after the fact that what I loved, like I loved the history of it and all that, but I loved working with my hands, because I loved digging in the ground and sifting through the dirt and looking for an artifact and all that stuff. And I loved being outside doing it. And so I feel like for me, it fulfills me to do stuff with my hands, whatever it is, jewelry making especially. But so anyways, I was an archaeologist, went to school for that. I actually have a geology degree as well, because I loved rocks and minerals. And I hurt my back. I came back home. I was working at a bridal store, and I saw all this jewelry, and that sort of reignited that passion for accessories again. And met the guy I was going to marry, and I'm like, I want to make the jewelry for my wedding, but I had no idea how to do it. And so I remember going to like Walmart and buying like acrylic beads and base metal and some magazines just to try it and see could I do this. And it worked, and I'm like, I can make jewelry. And so I sort of expanded and went to like Joann's and Michael's and bought like their stone beads or whatever. And then I started looking online and getting better things in. But as I would create stuff and I would wear it whenever I was working, my coworkers were like, "Oh, where'd you get that? I like that." I'm like, "Oh, I made it." And it's like, "Well, I want that. Make me something." So that sort of got the wheels spinning. Like maybe this could be a business, but I didn't really know. And one of my coworkers, she was like, "Amy, one day I'm going to have a clothing boutique and I'm going to sell your jewelry." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, that'd be awesome." But I never really thought it would happen. Flash forward. It's happened. So
she has a clothing boutique?
The Green Shelf Boutique in Donegal.
Is that hers?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Aw, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I see you post stuff because your stuff's up there. I see you post your stuff there all the time.
Yeah, so that's how it was a long time coming.
Yeah.
For sure, and the ups and downs, what have you, but yeah. So
that's a really cool story. Oh, that's awesome. So we kind of talked about your love for it, but why do you choose crystals? How do you choose them? What calls you to them most? Like, what makes you like them so much?
I don't know. I've always liked nature. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, well, we follow each other on Instagram. Like, I haven't done it lately, but usually I do my good morning sunrise picture. Like, I love
that. I love looking at it every morning. Please keep doing
that.
Yeah, I need to. You have the best
It's
view.
the time change. The time change messed me up. Like, I'm like, wait, I don't know what it is anymore. But, so I just have always loved nature. Like, I believe in God, and I just love seeing His creation. I think it's a gift to us, like all these colors that naturally occur. And so I've been fascinated by the colors in the sky and the clouds and the song of birds and crickets and, you know, trees and this, you know, the skyline and rocks and minerals and all this stuff. And I remember specifically the summer before I went into third grade, my family of 7 and my grandma loaded up in a van and drove across country. It was like a 2.5 week vacation, and we took like a northern route and a southern route. We went through like 30-some different states. And during that trip, like we stopped at all these like national monuments and we state parks or national parks, and I saw like in the Black Hills. I don't know if you've ever been in the Black Hills area.
I don't think.
Like where Mount Rushmore is.
Oh yeah, I've driven around there.
Just seeing like this, you know, this big rock basically, and it was carved in Crazy Horse Mountain. We stopped there, and back then, this was 1985, they were still, I don't know if they're finished with it or not, but they were blasting it away, and the mountain that Crazy Horse was carved into, at least part of it was made of granite, and they had these big bins filled with granite that you could just come and take it for free. So I have a piece of granite from Crazy Horse, and I didn't know it at the time, but the granite there, it was an orthoclase feldspar, it had mica, so it had like these shimmery, thin, silvery layers of stuff, and I'm like, what is this? I love this is so cool. And that trip, every time like we would go somewhere, like I was just searching for rocks. I'm like, I want to take this and that. You know, we stopped at the petrified forest in the Southwest, and that's where I got rose quartz. And I don't know if it was free there or if we bought it. I can't remember that, but I have like a big crystal of rose quartz. We went to a Native American reservation, and my parents bought me this bracelet. I mean, it won't fit my wrist now. I was just a little kid then, but bought me this bracelet that it's turquoise and amethyst and silver. And I think that made the connection of like these cool rocks that are like in the ground can be cut, they could be polished and made into jewelry. And so I loved it. And so I think just that influence on me, like that really sparked it even more so. Like I said, I went into geology as well. Like I love it. I think they're pretty. And so whenever I'm making jewelry, like I want it to be natural materials because it's so beautiful. Yeah. And like even when I set up at shows, like I take it for granted. I just assume everybody knows, or you know a lot about crystals, but there are so many people that don't, and they have no idea. Like they're used to seeing the big box store, just like the plastic beads that are made to look like real things. But like, why not have the real thing? Like it's beautiful. So that's it for me. And like I don't know much about like properties of crystals and that sort of thing. Like for me, it's more like, I guess, artistic, like it's based on the color or the shape, the composition of it, combining them that way. But if it means something else to somebody else, by all means. But for me, like visually, I want it to be pleasing to the eye, I guess.
I feel like that is how it is with a lot of people that are into crystals. Even if they do know what the crystal is for, like what it could possibly help with, they still just pick it because they're called to it, not because... I mean, I do have some that I picked definitely for what it was for, but if I wasn't called to it, I wouldn't have picked it either. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's interesting. You said about cutting and polish. Do you cut and polish your own?
Or do you just buy them? I buy them the way that they are, but when I was in college, we would do like thin sections. Like we would get rocks and you want to study the mineral composition. So like I did some cutting and oh my goodness, I loved it, but I don't have the machinery to do that.
I was going to say, that's hard, isn't it, to do all that?
You could like sand off your fingertips if you're not careful.
Yeah.
But like I've connected with some gem cutters in Jaipur, India. So like I feel like I can get like even better quality stuff now and more unusual things. Like more recently, I made some jewelry with royal lepidocrocite, which I never even heard of before. Oh my goodness, it's so beautiful.
Is it?
And it's so like sparkly, like. You think of sparkly things that's like rhinestones or cubic zirconia or maybe Swarovski crystal, but there are natural things growing in our ground that are just as sparkly, if not even more so. And I think that's even more special because it's natural. It's not a man-made material. So it's crazy. There's so many pretty things out there.
Yeah, there are. If I ever get married, I want a crystal ring. I don't want like a regular diamond. I want a crystal of some sort. I'm not exactly sure what yet, but I definitely want. So maybe you'll make my wedding ring for me one day.
Okay.
Do you have a favorite like crystal or mineral or something?
Yeah, labradorite. I've always loved. So like labradorite overall was like gray, but depending on how the light hits it, it has those flashes of like blue, green, gold. You can get pinks and purples in it. And I always loved rainbow moonstone. And it turns out rainbow moonstone is not moonstone. It's just like the white version of labradorite.
Well, look at that.
Yeah, so I like the labradorite family. And then there's another thing called spectrolite, which is also a labradorite that has like even more intense flash of colors. Like I just think like, it's amazing to me that, like, how does that happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it's just depending on how you twist it and the light hits it. It's like that special something with those pieces. I don't know, but I like it all. Honestly.
Isn't it cool what Earth can make?
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing what Earth makes us. It's like I don't think we realize how blessed we are to have the Earth that we have, that is so smart that it makes us like these beautiful things that we can wear and use and enhance our lives with.
Yeah. This stuff is like in the ground. Like, these beautiful things are in the ground. Like, well, how much more is there that hasn't been discovered? Or even in the oceans, like what lives in like the bottom that we know of. Like, it's very unusual.
Yeah. So where does the name Rare Soul come from?
So, with my family, my parents passed away, and it was in 2015. It started, my aunt first passed away. It was my dad's oldest sister. She was 95, one of my best friends. And then after that, her younger sister she was 91. She wasn't that much younger, but she went into sort of like a rehabilitation home because she wasn't doing well because she lost her big sister, but she was still there. Easter 2015, my family, we went to church. We go to my sister's house to eat, and my mom just didn't look quite right. She was a little jaundiced. She wasn't feeling well. We're like, Mom, are you okay? And she just, didn't seem to be herself. We're like, maybe you should call the doctor the next day. And so the next day she called the doctor. He's like, go to the emergency room. And they did a scan, and they discovered cancer throughout her body and gave her 2 weeks to live. We had no idea. It was devastating. At the time, I have 2 children, and my son was about 1.5 years, and my daughter would have been 5 years old, 5 or 6. And so that I thought I had 2 weeks with my mom. So like every waking minute we were trying to be with her if she could handle it, because it's a lot to deal with. And my daughter still had to go to school and everything, so I was sort of running back and forth. And I had my 1.5-year-old, and like my parents were like his favorite people in the whole entire world. And it was just a lot to handle. And so I spent as much time with my mom as I could, and then whenever it's time for her to rest at night, I would come home, the kids would get to bed, and I was just like a mess. Like, that's when I would go into like my craft room and just like cry and like, what am I going to do? And this, that, and the other. And I had made jewelry before. I kind of stopped whenever I had my kids, and that just sort of made me go back to it. Like, I needed a way to just take my mind off of things, but also to clarify things. Like, it's weird how it did that for me, because it sort of helped me think about the situation, but it also like helped me to handle it better. I don't even know how or why, but that's just how it was working for me. So I started making jewelry again with supplies that I had, and then finally get some sleep, wake up the next day, go see my mom, that sort of thing. She made it for 2 months.
That's good you had that time.
Yeah, absolutely. And her quality of life was really good up until like the last few days. And while my mom was battling, and it turns out she was diagnosed with cholangiocarcinoma, which is like a rare cancer of the bile ducts of the liver. Like, it's very rare. We took her to specialists in Pittsburgh, but they just said it was too advanced. Like, there was absolutely no surgery. There was no treatment, nothing for it. It was just until it was her time. Yeah. So anyways, while she was battling, my parents celebrated their 53rd wedding anniversary. Like, they were together 53 years. And it was a great day. I mean, she had a good day. My dad danced with her for the first time at their wedding reception. Like, my dad never wanted to dance. When they were at their wedding reception and the music started, they left. They didn't want to dance. So my mom finally got her dance with my dad.
That's awesome.
I think it was just so special, but yeah, I don't like ready crap, but anyways.
No, that gave me chills. That's so sweet.
So they did that. She passed away. My dad, tried his best, but you could see in his eyes, he just wasn't there. And 5 weeks later, he passed away of like a massive heart attack. It was a broken heart for sure.
Yeah.
And then 4 days after he passed away, his other sister did, because that was her family, and they were all gone, and she just had no will to be here either.
They just wanted to be together.
So in 7 months, I lost 4 people that were like very close.
So much to you.
Yeah, so close. And so at my dad's funeral, my friend who I worked with at the bridal store, who said, someday I'm going to have a clothing boutique, she came. And she's like, Amy, I have really good news, but I don't know if this is the time to tell you. I'm like, this is definitely the time I need good news. Like, this is, you know. And she's like, Amy, I'm ready. Are you ready? I'm like, what? You're ready to start? She's like, I'm ready to start my store. Are you ready for your business? And I'm like, absolutely not, but let's do this. Like, I had no idea what I was going to do.
You birthed something out of something so sad. That's awesome.
And honestly, like, with my mom's diagnosis, like, that's what got me back into creating and making jewelry again, because if that wouldn't have happened, I would have been like, I can't do it. I haven't made stuff for a while, but just because, and I'm not sure if I said it or not, but like, so I started making jewelry before I got married. I made it, had my daughter, kind of stopped. Did every once in a while. Had ovarian cancer, kind of stopped. We built a house, kind of stopped making jewelry. Had a son, kind of stopped. So like I kind of,
I totally get you, because I do the same thing. I've done the same thing with personal training, and this is my first time like, I'm done stopping. I'm just doing it, because life gets in the way, and you're like, well, is this really what I'm supposed to be doing? Should I really be focusing on this, or should I be focusing on the kids, or should I be focusing on my husband or whatever, or focusing on a different job or something like that? Like, something always comes up, and I'm not
There's
that I
never
have
the perfect time. You just have to do it.
Just do it. That's what. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but that's where I'm at right now. Is like, I am just doing this. I am done letting things get in the way. This is my quote unquote real job. Yeah. Like, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry, I interrupted you. You can remember where you were at.
I think I can.
Okay,
it's surprising, because I usually can't. So anyways, I'm like, yeah, let's do this. So throughout that time frame from when I worked at the bridal store to this time when she said she's ready to start, like, I envisioned, like, one day I'm going to have a brick and mortar store, and it's going to be my jewelry and these other things that I like. And I had a name picked out. I knew what the logo looked like. I knew the font. I knew every aspect of it. When it came time to like register my business name, that name was taken, and I was devastated. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me! Like this is finally happening. Like, what I've imagined and envisioned, and now I can't do it. Like, what's going on? Like, why is this the case? And so that I was just devastated. It took me a while to like, what am I going to do? I don't know. And I kept trying different names, and there's a website you can go on to register a business in Pennsylvania. Yeah. And so every time I would go to search a name, like, that was already taken. So like at like 3 a.m., I don't know why I was up so late, but at 3 a.m., I finally like was getting ready for bed in the bathroom, like to brush my teeth. And like, I feel like I have my best thoughts in the bathroom, like in the shower or whatever. And I'm trying to think of, what could I do? And I felt like, I didn't know the extent of it, but I felt like this business had to be connected with my parents. Like, this is just the timing of everything and what have you. And that's sort of like Rare Soul just popped into my head at 3 a.m. in the bathroom whenever I should have been sleeping. And
really?
And I'm like, okay, is this name taken? What am I going to do? And it wasn't taken. And then I was like, well, wait, should that be my name? I don't know. Is that a good name? Like, who can I call at 3 a.m. and ask them? And so I waited until the next morning. I texted one of my friends, and I'm like, do you think this is a good name? And she's like, oh, it's perfect. I'm like, okay, I'm going to register it.
I think it's a perfect name.
Thank you. And so Rare Soul refers to my parents, it refers to my aunts, it refers really on a broader scale, it refers to anybody who has like loved you, encouraged you, tried to help you with that, like nurture that creativity, that sort of thing. So it can be whoever it is to you, whoever it is for me, it is my parents, and it was my aunts, it was my grandparents, and everybody who has passed on. And most people don't know, because I don't even talk about it. It's not like I'm trying to hide it, but I just don't typically bring it up. But so when it came time to create a logo for Rare Soul, like I said, for the other business name, I envisioned all of it. For this, I had no clue. And one of my best friends in college was like an amazing graphic designer, and I'm like, I need your help. What do you think? What should I do? I want you to do my logo. And so she kept sending me, I don't even know how many different versions of logos, and I'm like, that's not it. I'm sorry. I liked them all, but it just wasn't it. And I just kept thinking, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, when my sisters and brothers and I were going through my parents' things after they passed away, we got to like my mom's hope chest, or it was a cedar chest, and there was a bag in there that had these like Tiffany blue linen napkins. Like, my parents weren't fancy people, but maybe they were fancy before us kids were born. Like, I don't know. Like, what were they hiding from us? I don't know. But there were these Tiffany blue linen napkins that had this little lace applique on it. And I'm like, and I asked my friend, I'm like, could that be the logo? She's like, I don't know, scan it to me, email it to me, and that's my logo. Like, that's Like that's what's on my business card. That's from my parents' linen
Oh,
napkins.
how special is that, though?
Yeah. So people
Everything
don't know
came
it,
full circle.
Yeah. So for me, like this business, it helps me to deal with grief and to work through things,
Yeah.
but it also helps to keep their memory alive.
Yeah.
And so even if no one else ever knows, like I don't care. It's more for me than anything else. But like when they get a business card or they get like the jewelry tag or whatever, like it still has
it's always
a part
with
of,
you, yeah.
part of my parents on there. It's sort of spreading it out, whether they know it or not.
Yeah, that's
So-
fantastic. I was going to say earlier, too, you were talking about how when you make jewelry, like, I don't know if you said things will come to you or something like that. I think it is meditative. Like, making jewelry is meditative.
Yeah, I do think so.
Does that, like, connect with you at all? Like,
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You can
I
actually
never-
sit and think of,
I
it's like
never
you
really
quiet
thought
your
about
mind.
it. Yeah, I never really thought about it that way, but absolutely, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Because it's sort of like usually a quiet space. Although I think that's why I would stay up so late at night, because I could create after my kids were in bed.
Yeah.
Because they like to invade the quiet space, and now they're both in school, so like that helps a little bit. But yeah, it's just sort of a way to like clear my mind and to focus more. And yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
It definitely it works that way.
Yeah,
So.
that's cool. Another reason it's holistic.
Yeah.
So you have a name for your followers.
Yeah. Okay, so I would follow different accounts on Instagram, and I would notice they always called their followers a certain name. I'm like, what am I going to use? I need something. And I couldn't think of anything, so I asked my nieces. I'm like, give me a name. Come on, you're cool, you're hip, whatever. Come up with something. And anyways, they're like, Rare Gem. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's perfect. But like,
It's so perfect.
but when I think of it, I feel like for me, I have like ridiculous negative self-talk. Ridiculous. It's like whatever. That's like a
Me
struggle
too.
for me. And like I think if we would think of ourselves as rare, as precious, as unique, and treat ourselves that way, that we would treat something like a rare gem or whatever, like wouldn't the world be a better place? Wouldn't we be better, healthier? Holistic. I think it comes in with that as well. So yes, I refer to the followers as rare gems because we are all rare, and we are all precious, and we are all priceless.
Yes,
So.
yeah, I love that. No, I love that. That's awesome. I think it's cool that you have a name for your followers because I don't know, it just makes it even more legitimate. Like that you're doing this thing. You know what I mean?
I am trying to. Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing awesome.
Thank you.
So we kind of talked about this, but like, where would you say that your creative juices come from? Like, how do you get because you make some really cool stuff.
Thank you.
Like some stuff that I couldn't even imagine in my mind. Like, how does it come to you?
Well, I mean, ultimately, I think, like I said, I think we're born inherently with that creativity. Like, I do believe in God, and since we're creating His image, He's the ultimate creator, so we are creative whether we realize it or not. And like I said, just growing up in my family, like, that was encouraged. So I don't really know the best answer for this. Like, whenever I sit down to make jewelry, like sometimes I think, you know what, I haven't made earrings for a while. I want to make earrings. And I pour through all of my beads like, oh, what could work? Sometimes I have a color in mind. And like, if we were at my house, I would show you, like, I have these, think of like a tackle box. It's not really, though. It's made for beads, and it has like 24 compartments in each one. And
Yeah.
I have like 18 of them. I mean, I have a lot of beads. Like, you would love to see them, actually.
Yeah.
And so I have them arranged by color. So sometimes I think of a color, I'm like, oh, let me pull the blues out. Maybe I want turquoise. I pull out the one that has all the turquoise. And I might look through the beads and find the one that I want. And I'll, sometimes, like, more recently, I had grape jelly amethyst. There were these amethyst crystal clusters that were just beautiful. Like, you need nothing. Just put a chain on it. Like, that's
Yeah.
it. There's not much creativity with that, I guess, because the beauty is just in the amethyst.
It's already there.
But other ones, depending on the size and shape, like, I want to combine it with something. And so sometimes, like, I'll pull out my color wheel. Like, that's where it's more artistic for me, I guess. And I'll see, like, the complementary colors or, that sort of thing. And I just sort of pull different things and I lay it out and see if I like it. Sometimes when I'm making a piece, 10 other ideas just come into my head and I'm like, I can't make it fast enough to move on to the other one. There was another necklace that I made. I had this idea. It was like I could see the silhouette of the necklace. I couldn't see the color. I couldn't see the beads. I could just see the shape of it. And I drew it and I had it for like 2 years. before I found the beads that worked for it. But I had that design like was in my head. So
Yeah.
it just depends. And also like the creativity ebbs and flows. Like there's times where I'm like overwhelmed, like I need to do this, and other times I'm like, I can't think of anything to make, like I don't know. And I feel like whenever I'm in that point where like I can't think of stuff, that's when I just need to take a step back and like do something else creative, or just you need to take a break, because it's like for a creative mind, like I feel like it's just always going. Like I see the world differently. Like I really do. Like my husband is very logical, and I'm maybe not as logical, but he's very logical and less creative, and I'm the other way around. And so we definitely see things differently, and it's overload. And sometimes you lay down at bed and you're just your
mind is going.
Yeah, and so it takes a lot out of you, even if it's what you're doing isn't like super physical, like just mentally, emotionally. And so sometimes you just need to like back off and like give your brain a rest, or work on a different type of creative project to get those juices flowing again, and then get back to it. So
it's the same with personal training. I don't know if you would consider it creative, but I consider it creative because I have to like create workouts and things like that, and something fun and different for different people and whatever it is. But I'll get like that sometimes where I just like my mind cannot process another workout. Like I just can't physically get myself together. Like, and I'm not like lifting stuff up. I don't lift stuff all day long. Like I just tell people what to do. But I'm emotionally sometimes drained at the end of the day, because it is so like can be so taxing on your mind to have to like constantly create new things and like entertain, and you know what I mean? Just continually go. So I totally understand that. Yeah. And normally it's easier for me because I can look up an old workout that I haven't done for a really long time and like pull that back up. So you really can't. I mean, you could make the same jewelry, you could, but like yeah.
That is another thing. Like a lot of the pieces I make are one of a kind, because I don't want to get bored with it, and I also like that it's one of a kind. Or some things I might create a few of, or like let's say it's like I had like a series of druzy necklaces. It was like a long druzy rectangle, which each one was a slightly different color. I paired it with a different bead, but it was the same style of necklace. But in general, they are usually one of a kind. So if you see something you like, you better grab it.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're in a lot more. You're in the store with your friend, but you're starting to get a lot of holistic based businesses.
Yeah, and I think that was on part from you for Wellness on the Yacht. And I was trying to think, like, how did I don't even remember how I even got into that. If I saw like an ad or something on Facebook, like requesting,
I can't remember if it was that or if I saw
me.
Your jewelry or something.
I have no idea. I don't remember it, but I'm grateful for it. I love that show. Or that event, like last year or this year, I guess it was like just amazing. It was perfect.
Freaking perfect. It was the perfect day that I could have ever had in my whole life, besides having my daughter. Yeah. Like it was just like awesome. And I actually got to sit. This is off topic, but I got to sit this year and eat and enjoy myself, which I never got to do before that. Yeah. And like just walk around and talk to everybody. And I got to shop, and it was just like it was so cool.
I mean, I've only participated for 2 years, but like the growth. Like it exploded from last year to this year. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
But anyways, being set up there, I was approached by different people. Like, so Leah from On Body in Uniontown. So, she liked my things, and Emily at Walking Holistic Living. Yeah. And that sort of thing. So that's kind of how that sort of happened. And so I use crystals, I use natural materials, and I think
it just goes.
Holistic people, yes, it goes, whether I'm like pushing the metaphysical properties of a crystal or not. Like it all just works. Like I think that people who like yoga or what have you are drawn to natural beauty, and like that's what I'm trying to create, naturally beautiful things. So
I remember when Emily and I, because everybody here would know, Emily and I used to play Wellness on the Yacht together. Now she took a step back to focus on her business, but when we were talking, we were both like, oh, you have to have her at YHL. You have to have her at YHL, because it's too good to not have. Like they were just so pretty and so perfect and like unique, and just made you feel good. Just looking at your stand made you feel good. Like you came early that first year to set up, and I was like, I wonder why she wants to come so early to set up. And then I looked at how elaborate your setup is, and I was like, that's why she wants to come so early. Like, it is stunning. Your setup is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. My husband thinks I'm crazy, and I'm like, but I want to create like a special place. I want it to look like its own little boutique.
It looks like its own little boutique. It looks like its own little boutique. Like, you feel like you're coming into a whole other world when you just come into your tent.
Thank you.
I stinking love it. So you can find your jewelry at...
So the green shelf, well, first of all, my website is shopraresoul.com. I finally have that back up and running again. The Green Shelf Boutique in Donegal, which super cute clothes and other giftable items there as well.
Is it by Out of the Fire?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I thought.
It was right above Collections by Marty's, which closed, but it's the building right
Yeah,
near
I thought
the
that's
fire.
where it was.
Yeah, so that's there. Serenity Beach Shop and Studio in Greensburg. Yakagani Holistic Living, which I'm not sure when this episode will air, but I will have a bigger collection there on December 7th for Christmas or whatever.
Christmas, yeah.
And then that'll be there until probably the new year.
It should be out before that.
Okay.
So
that will be there, and then On Body Massage and Wellness in Uniontown, and then I have a little collection in Florida, which is kind of exciting. It's Jar, the Zero Waste Shop. Yeah.
How did they find you?
So the owner of Jar is originally from this area. I did not know her, but when I first started Rare Soul, I didn't have any expectations. I'm like, people might think my stuff is hideous. I might never sell anything other than like family and friends who feel like obligated to buy or whatever. She was the first person to buy something from me that I did not know, but she is a friend of a friend. But like this was also another reason why I realized like this business is more than what I thought it was. So she was, looking at my stuff, and her brother passed away, and his birthstone was citrine, and I had a necklace that had citrine. She said immediately as soon as she saw it, she's like, this is what I want. And just knowing like Rare Soul, like that was, when my parents passed away, and to know that I could create something that meant so much to somebody else, and it, like, that was just like, oh, like I was crying, like I was emailing her, like, you have no idea what this means, whatever. And like we were just emailing each other. So anyways, she had since moved to Florida, and she took over this shop, which is awesome. I mean, like zero waste. And it's causing me, like already, like my jewelry boxes are recycled materials. My wire all gets recycled. Like I'm trying,
Yeah.
But I still, like, I was always putting jewelry in like plastic bags because sterling silver tarnishes. I mean, it's just a fact of life. But if you can like keep it in an airtight packaging, like it slows it down. But she's causing me to sort of rethink things because, the planet is important, and like plastic just doesn't really go away. And so I'm kind of thinking like, how else could I package things? What else could I do? So anyways, I'm like really excited to be included there and like honored to be part of that. So she has a little collection down there as well.
That's super cool. Super cool. I'm sure you're going to be in a lot more places too.
We'll see.
You will.
Thank you.
So where can people find you online on Facebook and Instagram?
Yeah, Facebook and Instagram. So Facebook, it's The Rare Soul is what it is. Like facebook.com/The Rare Soul. And on Instagram, it's Rare Soul Accessories.
Okay.
So, yep, on there. And then Pinterest is more like me pinning things for my kids' birthday parties.
I don't really use Pinterest that much. And then what's your website again?
shopraresoul.com.
Shopraresoul.com.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And then if someone wants to like get a custom piece, should they just like message you on Facebook or Instagram?
Yep, that's the best way. Or if I'm doing a show somewhere, talk to me, or
cool.
Any of those ways. That
Very cool. Well, thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is fun.
Anytime. And thank you guys for joining us for another episode of Healing Whole, the podcast. We will see you next time.